If you are waking up every single morning with stiff, aching joints, struggling to open a jar, walk down the stairs, or simply get out of bed without pain, I need you to hear this. The answer you have been looking for is not in a pharmacy. It was never in a pharmacy. It was written down thousands of years ago, in scripture, in specific foods that ancient people ate every single day, without a prescription, without a supplement stack, and without chronic joint pain defining their lives. Today, we are opening GodsPharmacy, and what is inside is going to surprise you. Here is something most doctors will never tell you. Chronic joint pain after 50 is not simply wear and tear. It is not just aging. The primary driver of joint pain, the thing that causes cartilage to break down, synovial fluid to decrease, and inflammation to build up in your joints, is a specific inflammatory process called cytokine overproduction. After menopause, estrogen levels drop, and estrogen had been quietly suppressing that inflammatory process for decades. Without it, the inflammation that was always there begins to express itself in your knees, your hips, your hands, your spine. This is not a mystery. This is biology, and scripture addressed it thousands of years before any rheumatologist gave it a name.
Welcome to Bible Remedy, where ancient scripture meets modern science to show us that the wisdom for healing has often been written down long before we had the laboratory words to explain why it worked. Let us get into the 7 foods. Food 1. Olive oil, the anti-inflammatory gold. Scripture references olive oil over 140 times. The Good Samaritan in Luke chapter 10 poured it directly into wounds. This was not random, it was medicine. Here is the knowledge gap. Most people know olive oil is healthy. What almost nobody knows is that extra virgin olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal that inhibits the exact same inflammatory enzymes as ibuprofen, the COX-1 and COX-2 pathways, directly responsible for joint inflammation after menopause. 1 tablespoon daily. Pour it over everything. This was not a supplement in the ancient world. It was a staple. And it was quietly managing inflammation that modern medicine now prescribes medication for. Food 2. Pomegranate, the joint cartilage protector. 200 carved pomegranates on the pillars of Solomon's temple. This fruit was built into sacred architecture, and modern research has confirmed why. Pomegranate contains polyphenols that specifically inhibit the enzymes responsible for cartilage breakdown in arthritic joints. A clinical study found that pomegranate extract reduced the activity of inflammation compounds in joint tissue by over 50%. The ancient world built temples around this fruit. Your joints will thank you for eating it daily.
Food 3. Raw honey, nature's original anti-inflammatory. Proverbs 24:13. Eat honey, for it is good. The promised land is described as flowing with milk and honey throughout Scripture. Here is what most people miss. Raw honey, not the heated, filtered variety in most grocery stores, contains an enzyme called glucose oxidase that produces hydrogen peroxide on contact with tissue. It actively suppresses the inflammatory cytokines responsible for joint pain. Studies have shown raw honey reduces C-reactive protein, the primary blood marker of systemic inflammation, with consistent daily use. 1 teaspoon of raw, unfiltered honey daily. The ancient world ate this every day. They were not managing joint pain the way we are. Food 4. Barley, the forgotten grain that fights inflammation. When Scripture describes the feeding of 5,000 in the Gospel of John, those loaves were barley, the grain of ordinary people, eaten every single day. Barley contains beta-glucan, a fiber compound so well proven for reducing C-reactive protein and systemic inflammation that the FDA allows a specific health claim for it. For women over 50,
where inflammation drives both joint pain and cardiovascular risk simultaneously, barley addresses both in one food. The people who eat barley bread daily were not experiencing the chronic inflammation epidemic we face today. The connection is not coincidental.
Food 5. Dates. Bone strength and joint support. The date palm is mentioned more than any other fruit tree in Scripture. Desert travelers carried dates because they kept them strong on long journeys. Dates are extraordinarily rich in magnesium, potassium, and copper, 3 minerals directly involved in bone density maintenance and joint cushioning after menopause. Magnesium deficiency, one of the most common hidden deficiencies in women over 50, has been directly linked to increased joint inflammation and bone loss. 3 dates daily. Simple, ancient, and addressing a deficiency that most women over 50 do not even know they have. Food 6. The vine runs through Scripture, from Genesis to the final pages, and grapes contain resveratrol, a compound studied specifically for its ability to inhibit the inflammatory pathways that break down joint cartilage. What most people do not know is that resveratrol works at the genetic level, activating proteins called sirtuins that regulate the inflammatory response in joint tissue. Eat the whole grape, with skin. The skin contains the highest concentration. The ancient world ate them fresh, in season, daily. Their joints reflected it. Food 7. Fish is everywhere in Scripture. The disciples were fishermen. The miraculous feedings involved fish. It was the primary protein of the biblical world for good reason. Fatty fish contain EPA and DHA, omega-3 fatty acids that are converted in the body into specialized compounds called resolvins and protectants. These compounds do not just reduce inflammation, they actively resolve it. They signal the inflammatory process to switch off. For women over 50 with joint pain, 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish weekly is one of the most evidence-based dietary interventions available. The fishermen of the Gospels ate it simply grilled. That simplicity was the point. The specific inflammatory pathways responsible for joint pain after 50. Olive oil for daily inflammation suppression. Pomegranate for cartilage protection. Raw honey for C-reactive protein reduction. Barley for systemic inflammation and bone health. Dates for magnesium, potassium, and joint cushioning. Grapes for cartilage defense at the genetic level. Fish for resolving inflammation rather than just suppressing it. You do not need all 7 at once. Start with the one that feels most accessible today. Add it consistently. Give it 2 to 3 weeks. Notice how your body responds. The ancient world did not have chronic joint pain as a defining feature of aging. They had these foods, daily, consistently, faithfully. If this video gave you something useful today, please share it with a woman in your life who is struggling with joint pain. Subscribe to Bible Remedy for a new video every week, where we uncover what ancient scripture and modern science are telling us together about how to heal well after 50. God bless you. I will see you in the next one.
This video is for educational purposes only. Please consult your healthcare provider before making significant changes to your diet, especially if you have existing health conditions or are taking medications. Which of these 7 foods are you going to add to your diet this week? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one.